The abandoned guardians. The ancient spires of Serenthia rose like silver needles against the purple sky, their crystalline surfaces catching the light of 3 distant suns. For over 10,000 years, these towers had stood as beacons of peace in a galaxy torn by endless conflicts. The Nethani who built them were creatures of ethereal beauty, their translucent skin shimmering with bioluminescent patterns that changed with their emotions. They stood tall and graceful, with 4 arms that moved like water and large, multifaceted eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of ages. Kethnal, the eldest of the Nethani Council, stood at the highest spire watching the stars. His skin glowed, with deep blue patterns of sorrow as he remembered better times. Once, ships from 100 worlds would arrive daily seeking the Nethani's guidance. They were the mediators, the peacekeepers, the wise ones who could resolve any conflict with their profound understanding of different species' minds and hearts. Their gift was empathy beyond measure, able to see through the eyes of any creature and understand their deepest fears and hopes. But those days were gone. The great cosmic storms had begun 3 cycles ago, massive waves of solar radiation sweeping across the galaxy like invisible tsunamis. These storms didn't just threaten planets, they disrupted hyperspace travel, destroyed communication networks, and turned entire systems into dead zones. The galaxy's great powers, the Zephyrian Empire, the Crystalline Confederacy, and the Iron Worlds Alliance, all turned inward to protect their own territories. Trade routes collapsed, diplomatic missions ended, and one by one the galaxy forgot about the peaceful Nethani. The abandonment hadn't happened overnight. First, the regular diplomatic visits stopped. Then the trade ships ceased coming. Emergency channels went unanswered. When the Nethani sent their own vessels seeking help, they found closed borders and hostile warnings. The galaxy that had once sought their wisdom now saw them only as a burden, an ancient relic with no military power and nothing valuable to offer in these dark times. Zara Kim, a young Nethani barely past her 1st century, approached the Elder, with patterns of frustrated orange dancing across her skin. Elder Kethnal, the food synthesizers in the Eastern District have failed again. Without replacement parts from the outer worlds, we can't repair them. Her voice carried the musical quality of her people, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. Kethnal's patterns shifted to deep purple, the color of profound sadness. How many does this affect? Nearly 2,000 of our people. They're surviving on emergency rations, but those won't last beyond the next moon cycle. Zarakim's arms gestured helplessly. We've tried every frequency, every old contact. No one answers our calls anymore. The Elder Nethani touched one of his 4 hands to the crystal window, his reflection ghostly in the transparent surface. We who helped the galaxy find peace in its darkest hours are now left to face our darkest hour alone. His bioluminescent patterns told a story of grief that needed no words. Across the galaxy, the cosmic storms continued their relentless march. Entire systems had already fallen dark, their populations evacuated or worse. The great powers built walls of warships around their core worlds, leaving the smaller civilizations to fend for themselves. In this new reality, compassion was a luxury few could afford, and the Nethani's ancient role as healers and mediators seemed as obsolete as their failing technology. But the universe has a way of bringing hope from unexpected places. Captain Sarah. Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Perseverance, a human exploration vessel that had pushed deeper into uncharted space than any Earth ship before it. Humanity had only joined the galactic community 50 years ago, making them newcomers by galactic standards. Their technology was considered primitive by most species, their diplomacy crude, and their understanding of galactic politics elementary. Yet they possessed something that older civilizations had lost: curiosity about the unknown and compassion for those in need. "Captain, we're picking up some kind of signal," reported Lieutenant Commander Jackson from the communication station. "It's very faint, almost like it's been repeating for months without anyone answering." Sarah brushed a strand of black hair from her eyes and moved to examine the readings. At 35, she was young for a deep space captain, but her record of successful first contacts had earned her this mission to explore the galaxy's outer rim during the cosmic storms. What kind of signal? It appears to be a distress call, but in a language our computers don't recognize. The patterns are incredibly complex, almost musical. Jackson adjusted his headset. Wait, there's something else. I'm detecting massive energy signatures from the system it's coming from. Those aren't natural formations, Captain. Dr. Marcus Torres, the ship's xenobiologist and unofficial diplomat, looked up from his research station. A thoughtful man in his 40s with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses, he had made first contact with more alien species than any other human. Captain, according to the galactic databases we obtained from the Centauri station, that system is listed as historically significant but currently uninhabited. But if someone is sending distress signals, then either the database is wrong or someone is in serious trouble. Sarah made her decision quickly, as she always did. Set course for the signal's origin, maximum safe speed. The Perseverance altered course, its fusion engines humming with increased power. The ship itself was a testament to human ingenuity, built not for war but for exploration. Where other species favored sleek, standardized designs, human vessels were cobbled together from whatever worked best, creating ships that looked chaotic but performed beyond expectations. The Perseverance had saved 7 different colonies during the cosmic storms, earning humanity a grudging respect among some galactic communities. As they approached the system, the crew gathered on the bridge to witness what they found. 3 suns orbited each other in a complex dance, their combined light illuminating a world unlike anything in human databases. Sarenthia hung in space like a jewel, its surface covered in crystalline cities that sparkled with their own inner light. Captain, I'm reading massive artificial structures on the surface, reported the science officer, Ensign Park. Some of these buildings are enormous, and the energy readings suggest they've been active for thousands of years. But the population readings are strange, added Dr. Torres, frowning at his instruments. The cities are clearly built for millions, but I'm only detecting about 50,000 life signs. And those life signs, they're unlike anything in our databases. Sarah stood quietly, taking in the magnitude of what they had discovered. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, but finding an unknown civilization was extraordinary, even by human standards. Hail them, all frequencies. The response came immediately, as if someone had been waiting by their communications array for years. The voice that filled the bridge was hauntingly beautiful, like a melody composed of words, but the universal translator struggled with the complex linguistic patterns. Unknown vessel. This is Elder Kethnal of the Nathani people. We had not hoped to hear another voice among the stars. Your arrival is like light in our darkest hour. The voice paused, and when it continued, there was wonder in it. We do not recognize your ship design or your energy signatures. What people are you? Sarah looked around at her crew, seeing the same mixture of excitement and caution in their faces. This was why they were out here, why humanity had chosen to explore even as cosmic storms ravaged the galaxy. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Ship Perseverance. We represent humanity and we received your distress signal. Are you in need of assistance? The silence that followed lasted so long that Sarah wondered if the connection had been lost. When the voice returned, it was heavy with emotion that transcended species barriers. Humanity. We know this name from recent galactic records. You are the newcomers, the young species that still explores when others retreat. Another pause. Captain Chen, we are indeed in need of assistance, but we fear we have little to offer in return. The galaxy has forgotten us, and our ancient knowledge seems to have no value in these times of storm and war. Dr. Torres stepped forward, his diplomatic instincts activated. Elder Kethnal, we didn't come seeking payment or trade. We came because someone needed help. That's what humans do. This simple statement seemed to have a profound effect on the alien voice. When Kethnal spoke again, his words carried an emotional weight that the universal translator could barely convey. Captain Chen, Dr. Torres, and crew of humanity's vessel, you offer something we believed had vanished from the galaxy, hope freely given. We would be honored to receive your assistance, and perhaps Perhaps we can offer something in return after all. As the Perseverance moved into orbit around Sarenthia, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter would change everything. The cosmic storms had divided the galaxy, turning neighbor against neighbor and reducing compassion to a rare commodity. But here, in the depths of space, humanity had found something precious, a people who needed help, and the opportunity to prove that some values transcended politics and power. The real test, however, was yet to come. Because when the galaxy discovered that humanity had chosen to aid the forgotten Nathani, the storms in space would seem gentle compared to the political tempest that would follow. But that was a problem for tomorrow. Today there were people in need, and humanity had never been good at walking away from such situations. The Perseverance settled into orbit, its crew preparing for what might be the most important first contact in human history. In the crystalline, cities below, the Nathani looked up at the human vessel with hope they hadn't felt in years, their bioluminescent patterns shifting from deep blue sorrow to warm golden anticipation. The age of abandonment was ending. The age of unexpected friendship was about to beg. When humanity stands alone. 3 weeks after the Perseverance made contact with the Nathani, the crystalline cities of Sarenthia hummed with activity for the first time in years. Human engineering. Teams worked alongside Nathani technicians, their different approaches to problem-solving creating solutions neither species could have achieved alone. The food synthesizers were operational again, power grids stabilized, and most importantly, hope had returned to a people who had thought themselves forgotten forever. Captain Sarah Chen stood in the Grand Council chamber, a breathtaking dome of living crystal that amplified thought and emotion rather than sound. Around her, the Nathani Council sat in their traditional circle, their bioluminescent patterns creating a light show of gratitude and wonder. Elder Kethnal's skin glowed with warm golden hues as he addressed the human delegation. Captain Chen, Dr. Torres, your people have given us more than repairs and supplies. You have given us back our purpose. His forearms gestured gracefully toward the crystalline walls, where ancient symbols pulsed with renewed energy. In helping us, you have awakened something we thought lost forever. Dr. Torres leaned forward, his scientific curiosity evident. For 3 weeks he had been studying Nathani culture and technology, and what he had discovered astounded him. Elder, these symbols, this entire city, it's not just architecture, is it? It's some kind of vast, computational system. Zara Kim, the young Nathani who had become their primary liaison, brightened with excitement. Her patterns shifted to bright silver as she explained. Dr. Torres is correct. Our cities are living computers, designed to process and predict the movement of cosmic phenomena. For 10,000 years we have been the galaxy's early warning system for cosmic storms, solar flares, and gravitational anomalies. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. You mean you can predict when and where the cosmic storms will hit? More than predict, Kethnal replied, his patterns shifting to deep purple with urgency. We can calculate how to stop them. The storms are not natural phenomena, Captain. They are the result of an ancient weapon system that was damaged in a war fought before your species developed spaceflight. The system is still active, still generating the storms, but it can be deactivated. The implications hit Sarah like a physical blow. The galaxy abandoned you just when your knowledge could save everyone? They did not know, Zara Kim said sadly. We tried to tell them, but our calls went unanswered. By the time we could have explained, the storms had already made communication impossible across most sectors. Dr. Torres stood up, pacing as he processed this information. We have to get this information to the Galactic Council, to the major powers. If you can stop the storms, they will not listen. Kethnal interrupted gently. We are forgotten, irrelevant. Who would believe that the solution to the galaxy's greatest crisis comes from a species that cannot even defend itself? Sarah's jaw tightened with determination. Then we'll make them listen. What Captain Chen didn't know was that her ship's presence at Sarenthia had already been detected by the galactic powers. In the war rooms of the Zephyrian Empire, crystalline beings with minds like supercomputers analyzed the data streams from their deep space sensors. In the council chambers of the Iron Worlds Alliance, cybernetically enhanced humans debated the implications of humanity's actions. And in the hive mind networks of the Crystalline Confederacy, millions of connected consciousness processed the tactical significance of one human ship in forgotten space. The response came simultaneously from all three powers, delivered through quantum communication arrays that cut through the cosmic storms like knives through silk. Admiral Vex Haran of the Zephyrian Fleet, a being of pure crystalline thought, spoke with a voice like shattering glass. Human vessel Perseverance, you are in violation of Galactic Quarantine Protocol 7. The system you now occupy has been classified as non-strategic and abandoned. Withdraw immediately. Sarah stood on her bridge looking at the three massive fleets that had appeared at the edge of the system. Each fleet numbered in the hundreds of ships, vessels of war designed to enforce the will of galactic superpowers. The Perseverance, with its crew of 250 humans, seemed insignificant by comparison. Admiral Vex Haran, this is Captain Chen. We are conducting a humanitarian mission to assist the Nathani people. We have no intention of violating any protocols. The response crackled with barely contained fury. The Nathani are a depleted species with no strategic value. Your continued presence suggests either ignorance of galactic law or deliberate defiance of it. Clarify your intentions immediately. Dr. Torres moved to Sarah's side, his face pale but determined. Captain, we can't let them suppress this information. The Nathani can save billions of lives across the galaxy. Sarah took a deep breath, knowing that her next words would determine not just their fate, but potentially the fate of galactic civilization. Admiral, the Nathani possess crucial information about stopping the cosmic storms. Their knowledge could save every world in the galaxy. We cannot withdraw until this information is properly shared. The silence that followed was more ominous than any threat. When Admiral Vex Haran spoke again, his voice carried the weight of absolute authority. Captain Chen, you have 10 minutes to withdraw from that system, or you will be removed by force. The Zephyrian Empire does not negotiate with species that harbor forgotten technologies. Such technologies are classified as potentially dangerous to galactic stability. Sarah looked around her bridge at her crew. Lieutenant Commander Jackson was pale but steady at his station. Ensign Park was running continuous scans of the alien fleets. Chief Engineer Rodriguez was already preparing the ship's defensive systems. These were good people, brave people, but they were about to face impossible odds. Captain, Dr. Torres said quietly, there's something else. Keth Nal just transmitted additional data. The Nathani cities aren't just computers. They're components of a massive planetary array that can generate a feedback pulse to shut down the storm-generating system. But they need time to charge it, and they need someone to protect them while they do it. Sarah closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of decision. Humanity had always been the newcomers in galactic politics, treated with polite condescension by older species. They had no great fleets, no ancient alliances, no vast territories. What they had was something that seemed increasingly rare in the galaxy, the willingness to do what was right regardless of the cost. Admiral Vex Haran, this is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earthship Perseverance. We decline your ultimatum. The Nathani are not abandoned, they are not forgotten, and they are not alone. Humanity stands with them. The response was immediate and decisive. The three galactic fleets advanced into the system, their weapons charging with energy that could glass planets. But as they moved forward, something unexpected happened. The Perseverance didn't retreat. Instead, it moved to a position directly between the advancing fleets in Serenthia, its small form dwarfed by the massive warships approaching it. The human ship's shields activated, creating a barrier of blue energy that seemed pitifully small against the approaching armada. On Serenthia, the Nathani watched in amazement as their crystalline cities began to resonate with power they hadn't felt in millennia. The ancient systems dormant for so long were awakening as the planetary array prepared to generate the pulse that could save the galaxy. Admiral Vex Haran was the first to fire, his flagship's main weapons launching a barrage of energy that could have destroyed a small moon. But the shots never reached their target. The Perseverance's captain had done something no galactic strategist had anticipated. Instead of trying to withstand the attack, Sarah had ordered her ship to dance. The Perseverance moved with a grace that defied its cobbled-together appearance, weaving between the incoming fire like a leaf in a hurricane. Human reflexes, trained for survival in a hostile universe, proved superior to the calculated precision of ancient military computers. "All ships, focus fire," Admiral Vex Haran commanded. But even as hundreds of weapons turned toward the human vessel, the Perseverance continued its impossible dance. Chief Engineer Rodriguez had overcocked the engines beyond safe parameters. Lieutenant Commander Jackson was calculating trajectories that existed only in mathematics textbooks, and Captain Chen was flying her ship with an intuition that came from generations of human pilots who had learned to survive against impossible odds. But they were still only one ship against hundreds, and even human ingenuity had limits. The Perseverance's shields began to fail under the concentrated firepower, and Sarah knew they couldn't hold out much longer. That's when the unexpected happened again. The first ships to appear were small, almost insignificant compared to the massive galactic fleets. They were trading vessels, exploration ships, research platforms, and colony transports from dozens of minor species across the galaxy. One by one, they positioned themselves alongside the Perseverance, their captains, announcing their intentions across all frequencies. "This is Captain Morteth of the Andromedan Free Trader Wandering Star. We stand with humanity." Free Centauri vessel, beautiful dreamer taking position. "The galaxy needs the Nathani's knowledge." Independent colony ship New Hope joining the defensive line. "Some things are worth fighting for." Within minutes, nearly 100 ships from minor species had formed a protective screen around Sarenthia. They were traders, explorers, and refugees who had been helped by human vessels during the cosmic storms, species who remembered what it meant to receive aid without conditions. Admiral Vex Haran found himself facing not just one defiant human ship, but a coalition of species who had chosen to stand together against the great powers of the galaxy. His tactical computers, designed to process military scenarios, had no algorithms for dealing with a moral stand that transcended politics and power. At that moment, as the standoff reached its peak, the crystalline cities of Sarenthia erupted with light. The Nathani had completed their calculations, and the planetary array released a pulse of pure energy that raced across the galaxy faster than thought itself. Across hundreds of systems, the cosmic storms simply stopped. The ancient weapon system that had generated them for millennia received the shutdown command it had been waiting for since its creators died in a war older than recorded history. In one moment, the greatest threat to galactic civilization was ended not by military might, but by the knowledge of a forgotten people, protected by those who refused to abandon them. The silence that followed was profound. Admiral Vex Haran and his fellow commanders found themselves facing a new reality. The minor species they had dismissed as irrelevant had just saved the galaxy, and humanity, the youngest species in known space, had shown them what true strength looked like. Captain Sarah Chen stood on her bridge, looking out at the now peaceful stars, and spoke into the communication array that connected every ship in the system. "The galaxy doesn't have to be a place where the strong abandon the weak and the ancient are forgotten by the young. We can choose to be better than that. We can choose to stand together." In the months that followed, the Galactic Council would be restructured to include representatives from minor species. The Nathani would establish a new network of early warning systems, protected by a coalition of worlds that valued wisdom over weapons. And humanity, despite their youth and their primitive technology, would find themselves at the center of a new galactic order based not on power, but on the simple idea that everyone deserved to be heard, to be helped, and to be remembered. The age of abandonment was over. The age of cooperation had begun, and it started with one human captain who refused to walk away from those in need.